It's a really exciting time to be an artist, and I just want to pour myself into that, into my own artistry and into talking to other people in the industry itself and other artists who are making it and redefining what it looks like to make it, and other leaders who are disrupting the industry. I'm going all in on my dream, and I'm not straddling two things just because one was easy. 20 years of my adult life, I could never do one pull-up, and now I can do 8. And that took so much work. That took so much work and commitment. So I'm so thankful and grateful for my commitment to that process. Everywhere visually with my artist brand, it's going to be like entering an entire world that's representative of Sumi X. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dream Life Club podcast. This is Sumi, and I'm so excited to be with you today to talk about what we're about to talk about. We're going to do a really special reflection and honoring and acknowledging process that I made for myself that I want you guys to take and do for your own lives if it feels inspiring to you. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about 10 things that I'm really proud of from 2024. Then 5 challenges and kind of stumbling blocks that I ran into during 2024. And then 3 things that I'm really excited about and looking forward to creating and experiencing in 2025. This time of year is really special. All of the reflection, all of the planning, all of the manifestation visualizations, and there is no limit on our imagination and what we can think about creating for the following year, right? And I think a lot of us dreamers and visualizers and stuff, we love that. We love the process of thinking and planning for next year. It's also really important to acknowledge and honor 2024. So I'm going to get into that. And before I do, I just want to share an announcement with you guys. There's going to be a little pivot in the direction of this podcast. So far, you guys know I'm a tech entrepreneur, and I recently started this career in music in LA. And I've been balancing building both things. I've been coaching entrepreneurs. In fact, that's one of the things that I created this year was this really robust program called The 6, which helped entrepreneurs reach 6 figures in revenue. And I've been doing all the social media and building out a whole entire brand around helping women build businesses. And I've also been simultaneously building my music career, writing, collaborating, releasing music, doing the visuals, creating this artistic world. And what I found was, in order to be successful in music, I had to let some things go. So one of the things I'm letting go is the business coaching that I've been doing this year. So if you've been with me this year through any one of my programs, I truly am grateful for you. And I hope that you got an infinite amount of value and that you'll continue coming back to the course and any of the materials that you have from me. But I'm going to be sunsetting all those offerings going forward really focusing on my own music career. On this podcast too, you're going to notice a slight shift where I'm going to be focusing on sharing my music journey, sharing the real raw, insider's look into what it takes to build a music career as an indie artist today in LA. And also my interviews are going to take a slightly different tone. They're going to still be creative, inspiring women leaders, but I'm going to focus more on people in creative pursuits, maybe more on music specifically, artists, producers, leaders, innovators, disruptors in the music industry itself who are really creating this new economy and music economy going forward. It's a really exciting time to be an artist, and I just want to pour myself into that, into my own artistry and into talking to other people in the industry itself and other artists who are making it and redefining what it looks like to make it, and other leaders who are disrupting the industry, right? There's so much change coming. And so this podcast is still going to be about bringing big dreams to life, but more of a focus on creative dreams and more of a focus on music specific dreams. So with that, let's get into our 2024 process. I hope you guys come along with me on this journey. Even if you've started listening for entrepreneurship, what I'm going to share is still going to have all of the mindset stuff, all of the, reframing, all of the emotional resilience, all of the kind of secrets to success, which have nothing to do with what industry you're in, right? It's applicable across industries. So I hope that you'll still get so much value. And I know that you'll still get so much value from this podcast when you stick with me and continue listening. And also, I really hope to share what it really looks like to pursue a dream. Right? My dream right now is growing my music career. That's my dream. That's been my dream since I was 4 years old. And so it's going to be really honoring, no matter what your dream is, to hear from me sharing my dream, right? And to see that I'm going all in on my dream and I'm not straddling two things just because one was easy. I know how to build businesses. I know how to be a business coach. I know I can offer value in that way, right? But I was also playing small by straddling both things and not putting myself fully into my music. And that's what I'm so excited to do now. And so I think this podcast itself is going to become even more powerful for anybody looking to bring a dream to life, no matter what that dream is, entrepreneurial, creative, whatever it is, okay? So let's get into it. 10 things, reflections on 2024, and steal this process. 10 things that you're really proud of, that you want to acknowledge yourself for, that you want to honor yourself for that happened in 2024. And a lot of times we forget. We come to the end of the year and we think, oh, I didn't achieve everything I wanted to do, or I didn't start that project, or I didn't have success with this project. And sometimes we beat ourselves up. And sometimes we feel down and depressed because of it. And that's why I want you guys to actually go back and look. Find, even if you have to dig for it, find 10 things that you can acknowledge yourself for that happened in 2024, that you did in 2024, that you poured effort into in 2024. And just take a moment to acknowledge it and honor it for your own self, for your own success. Because setting that foundation of acknowledging yourself and honoring what you have done is going to be the ground that you need to stand on for 2025. You can't be ending 2024 in a feeling of dismay, disappointment, disillusionment, and expect to have progress in 2025. It is so important that you actually take the time to do the acknowledgement of 2024 before looking forward, okay? So I'm going to share with you my 10 things from 2024, not so that I can brag about these 10 things, but instead so that I can mirror what it looks like to actually look back and honor things that may even sound so small, may even sound so irrelevant even to many of you. But it's important that we find 10 things, we write them down, we honor them, and we acknowledge them for ourselves. That becomes the fertile ground that we get to build on for 2025, okay? All right, so the first thing that I want to honor from my life and career in 2024 has been starting this podcast. This podcast has been 6 years in the making. I was ideating on it in 2019. I remember putting on an Instagram story poll, what do you guys think I should call my podcast? And it was, other names back then. And it took me this much time to actually start, to actually be consistent, to actually release episodes. And sometimes just putting your art out there into the world, that is in and of itself an act of creative bravery, right? Putting myself out there into the world has itself been a challenge, right? For 6 years, I was sitting on it. And so I'm really proud of myself for doing that this year. Not only that, but we promoted the heck out of this podcast and it paid off. We reached number 19 on the Apple entrepreneurship charts, 19 in the entire world on the entrepreneurship charts, and number 46 on all of Apple business charts. That is something that I am so proud of, and it's going to lead to even more growth and more exciting guests next year. But more than those rankings, I was so fulfilled by the messages I got from those of you who have listened and those of you my podcast has touched and helped and inspired and motivated in some way. I've gotten so many messages from other women who have said, Sumi, your podcast helped me, because I'm building this business and it helped me to, get over my fears. It helped me deal with rejection. It helped me take the next step. It helped me figure out what to focus on. It helped me organize my days. These are the messages that just touch my heart and keep me going. And so if this podcast has affected you in any way, it would mean the world to me if you could write a review, give me a rating, and share what you feel about it. Share what impact you've gotten from my podcast, because I'm doing this as a love project. Like, I don't have sponsors. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing this because I literally just want to share what I know and to help and inspire other women. So if you would be so kind as to write a review or give me a rating at the least on Spotify or Apple, it would mean the world to me to keep getting this podcast out there, to keep growing, to get guests on here that we all want to hear from, and to really make this a venture that will impact all of us. Okay. So that's number one that I want to honor and acknowledge for this year. Number two, my music. Okay. I just got my Spotify Wrapped. And of course, these numbers I'm about to say are only for Spotify, right? So there's obviously like so many other platforms that people listen to music on. But on Spotify itself, I had 67,000 listeners this year. 67,000 listeners. And just imagining that, just like taking a moment to imagine, wow, 67,000 people listen to my music. That is a literal, legit dream come true. That is a literal dream come true of 4-year-old Sumi. Never thought that I would be in this place, especially all those years building a company and trying to deal with what I thought I should be doing and all the things I had to untangle in my mind to get here. It's very meaningful. And if you haven't checked out my music yet, please go check it out. My artist name is Sumi X. That's SUMI space X, like my last name is X, on, all music platforms. And give it a listen. And follow me on Instagram at XOSumiX. I'm going to be pouring all my effort, like I said, into growing my music platform this year on XOSumiX across all platforms. And yeah, it's going to be a really exciting thing. So in addition to 67,000 listeners, my songs have been saved 1.46 thousand times. The math is confusing me on that. 1.46K times, according to Spotify. Oh my God, that's amazing. That many people saved my songs, right? And this is what I want you guys to do for everything that you have done this year. Really feel into what that is, what that means. And it might sound small. My numbers are so small compared to other artists out there. But honoring where I am right now, like I said, creates the fertile ground for 2025. And I'm the top 10 artist for 108 fans. Again, someone could say, well, that's nothing. Okay, but also 108 people I'm a top 10 artist for. That means so much to me, and I'm just so excited to see where I'll be at this time next year, especially with going all in. All right, I released 3 songs this year, which I have to admit, wasn't what I wanted to hit, but I will acknowledge myself for releasing the 3 songs, Butterflies, Heartbreak, and Say You Love Me. I also did a music video to Say You Love Me, and Butterflies was actually streamed on Ibiza, Spain, within a beautiful retreat with a bunch of women dancing to it. This song has carried across the world and actually impacted a lot of people, and I want to honor that, and I want to recognize that. Number 4, I want to talk about health and fitness stuff. So this year was the first year that I focused fully on finally getting a handle on my nutrition. And for the first time in my entire adult life, I actually hit some body recomposition goals that I've had for forever. So I want to really honor myself for that. It took discipline. It took committing. It took changing my mindset. It was so many years in the making, actually, for me to finally be in the place where that could snap into alignment and where I could do that. I also want to acknowledge the fact on the fitness side of things that despite so many setbacks with my body, so many injuries and so many weird things that happened with my neck and my back and blah, blah, blah. I worked so hard on my upper body pulling strength, and now I can do 8 strict pull-ups. And by strict, I mean no kipping, no moment. 8 strict pull-ups in a row, which is like unbelievable, like blowing my mind. Like for like 20 years of my adult life, like I could never do 1 pull-up and now I can do 8. And that took so much work. That took so much work and commitment. So I'm so thankful and grateful for my commitment to that process. Okay, next. I spent so much time this year, like really investing into deepening relationships with family and with friends. And I spent a lot of time going back to the DC area to see my family, a lot of time investing in those relationships, trying to be a better daughter, be a better sister, be a better aunt, and really honor the relationships that are most important to me this year. I also did a lot of trips with friends this year. We traveled, and it was important for me to deepen those relationships with friends too. But I will say that's one of my goals, one of my main goals for next year is building out that community. And I'll talk about that in a second. All right. Another thing that I want to acknowledge is I launched my business accelerator called The Six. And we had a number of women go through this program and get results and get clear on their business plans for creating 6-figure offers and actually bringing in the income that they want to bring. And so I want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge the impact that I made. In fact, something like, I think like over 4,000 women on that email list and text list for that program. So that's intense. And I want to acknowledge that that took a lot of work and a lot of effort. Similarly, I wrote an entire ebook and published it called Dream Life, which were the 6 pillars of my life and stories from my own experience that I wrote and shared about how I had to overcome so many challenges to create the life that I have today. The life that I have today is not by accident. It's by intentional design, and it has taken so much effort. And I wrote all those stories down in my ebook. I should probably just link that in the show notes here if anybody wants to check it out, and published it. And that too has had massive reach for like the scale of my platform so far. So I'm super proud of, and I want to acknowledge that. Oh, I bought a house. Okay, I bought a house in LA by myself this year, which I think is super cool. It's also been a dream come true. Like this has been a dream come true. And it has a pool and it has a hot tub and like literally like things that I only imagined I'm now living. And yeah, it's just like a pinch me. It's like pinch me moment, like acknowledging this for myself. Okay, I think I'm on the last one. So number 10 is that I want to acknowledge and I want to honor the fact that at the end of all of this year, all of these directions and all of this work and, you know, with music and this podcast and the coaching and everything, I've experimented a lot and I've honed my future even more. And I've made the really bold decision to put a pin in everything else, sunset all those programs, and focus solely on my music career. Like Stephen Pressfield talks about like spending time in shadow careers, right? That's what I was doing by like doing all this other stuff that I knew I could do, but it wasn't really where I needed to be, which is pouring myself into my artistry. And my work as an artist is where I'm going. And so I'm really acknowledging and honoring myself for making that decision, even though it came. It pretty much came in like the last 2 weeks. But that has been really important and really powerful and is really going to set the stage for 2025. Okay, so those were the 10 things that I'm proud of from 2024 and that I wanted to acknowledge. And I want you to do the same with your life. Do it in your journal, share it with me, share it with your social media, share it with your close friends, whatever it is, but take the time to acknowledge 10 things you're proud of and that you want to honor and acknowledge yourself for in 2024. Okay, challenges. Challenges are a part of the process. If we're growing, we're going to run into roadblocks, challenges, obstacles, or closed doors, right? And so we have to look at these challenges as part of the process. So I want to name 5 challenges, and there have been many more, but I will name 5 challenges that I faced in 2024, and I want you to do the same. So one of the most challenging things for me this year has been finding team members to work with and finding long-term team members who are equally passionate and capable and on my team, and stepping into being a better leader myself, I'm sure has something to do with it. But finding the right people and stepping into my leadership in such a new environment where it's so intimate, right? It's like when I had a company with 10 people in our executive suite and 200 people across the country, it's a different type of game. When it's just me and like 2 or 3 other people working on something so close to my heart, like it is different. It is different. And so I'm finding my voice there, and I'm still finding the right fits for my team there as well. Physical setbacks. I had basically like, I want to say 8 months out of this year, I have been dealing with various like injuries at physical setbacks, first with my neck, then with my back. And so it's been scary. It's been disappointing. It's been frustrating. It's been all the emotions. But at the end of the day, I'm actually really proud of how I've handled those setbacks as opposed to how I would have handled them in the past, right? I've reached out to the healers and the doctors, and I've followed the physical therapy, and I've stayed committed to doing and working around the injuries instead of just feeling sorry for myself and sitting around at home, which may have happened in the past, right? So despite the physical setbacks, I'm still so proud of how I handled that. That's all we can control ever. That's all we can control is how we handle things, how we react to things, right? We can't control what happens to us, but we always control how we respond. Another interesting thing, I seem to have interesting karma with homes since I've moved to LA. If you've been following me for a while, you know that in my first condo, I had these mysterious bugs that kept biting me and no one could figure out what they were. And basically that led me to moving. Then I really loved the second place I was in. It was great. I was there for a year and a half until my landlord told me she was kicking me out because she was moving in. So then I scrambled and bought this place where I'm in now that I told you guys about and things in my 10 things I'm proud about and acknowledging myself for. And it's a gorgeous place. Like I said, it's amazing, but also it's had its issues. It's been one thing after the other to the point where I'm not sure about this, but I might need to make a move because there's some major things going on here that I'm not sure I can deal with long term. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But we keep going, right? We keep going. Another challenge that I ran into this year was finding the traction I needed because I was balancing business coaching and my music career. And the two just kept pulling me. I felt like I was split in half. I literally felt like I was split in half. And I was like, my head was constantly like spinning around like 360, like in a weird old cartoon. And that did not feel good. That did not feel good. And that's why this decision of focusing on music just is filling me with energy, And so if you're feeling the same about anything in your life, like I do want to say, cutting things out of your life, cutting things out. And even though if you think, oh, well, I could do it all, you know what? Sometimes to get traction, this is what I tell, it's kind of ironic. This is what I tell my coaching clients in business. It's like to get traction, you need to focus on something smaller. You need to go smaller, because you need to break through. Like it's all that light that you need to focus in one point, then you'll break through. But if we are scattered with our energy, like nothing breaks through, right? And so that had been a challenge for me this year. And I don't regret it because I do think that it took me exploring doing both to realize that I'm not going to be able to do both, at least not right now. And so, yeah, it was a challenge and it left me feeling like I wasn't putting enough effort into music as I wanted to. And, I haven't released a song since May, which wasn't in my plan. That was not my plan. But the other things kind of took priority. And so now getting back to music, it's going to be a whole different 2025. So I think that was 5 challenges. And then 3 things that I'm really looking forward to in 2025. I mean, I could go on. Like there are so many more than 3 things here. But just to seed it, 3 things that I'm looking forward to in 2025. One is, oh my gosh, there's so much. Just the thought of having the flexibility and the freedom to focus on my music, to take it seriously, all the shows I'm going to do, all the songs I'm about to write and release. I mean, so many of them I've written, just need to finalize and release them. Oh my gosh, I'm going through this entirely new rebrand process. You're going to see some major changes coming on my socials everywhere visually with my artist brand. It's going to be like entering an entire world that's representative of Sumi X, the artist Sumi X. And it's so exciting. Like, it's going to be epic. I'm in talks with somebody right now who could be a game changer. I've been scouting different things, different shoots, different shows, different partnerships, different collabs. So all of this stuff I'm so excited about. And I think that was more than 3, but like, I'll just leave it at that. I'm so beyond excited for the growth of my music career. I mean, like I said, right now I have 67,000 listeners, something like that. So I want to kind of like note that, like everybody remember that, and let's see where I am this time next year. It's going to be an epic year. Okay, with that, I'm going to leave it off. I want you guys to go take this reflection, review, and acknowledgement process and do it for yourself. Do it for yourself so you create the fertile ground that you can then put your 2025 excitement and goals on top of. All my love, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.